So I've been in this little bit of a crisis recently. I've been trying to figure out the best way to edit my videos and to do my thumbnails on a budget. If you know anything about Adobe products, which I mainly use, it's that they're expensive as shit and for no reason. I'm paying about $60 a month to have access to the entire Adobe Creative Cloud library, and I really only I really only use Photoshop and Premiere. So and if I were to buy those individually for the licenses, it would genuinely be the same amount, like same price point, like maybe a few bucks cheaper. But I don't want to pay anything at all. So I was looking around. I was looking at DaVinci Resolve. I was looking at Canva, replacements for Premiere and Photoshop. And I wasn't liking it. Canva was way too restrictive. I needed to also purchase their subscription model to be able to have access to a lot of the editing features. And DaVinci Resolve, not only was it like a fucking process to try and install it on my MacBook, but it's also ugly as shit. I don't like the way it looks. So, in the deep hours of the night, I decided that maybe it's time for me to tread some of these waters. I was learning how to pirate. Now, again, I'm working on my MacBook, so it's a little bit harder to have access to a lot of pirated software because people really only do it for Windows and maybe Linux, maybe. But it was a little bit of a process. Today, I really wanted to talk about mainly just if you have your mind set on one specific thing, to not to try and move around it and really work with what you know and what you have. And mainly, not to substitute what you know is working for something that might not be what you're familiar with or comfortable with or whatever. You should always try to at least stick to what you are comfortable with working in, and really to never settle. One of the problems I was having with DaVinci Resolve was not only the fact that it was really weird to install because it was more of a convoluted process than just hitting install, but it was new and new in a bad way. It asked me before I opened the program what I was familiar with already, like what am I transferring my knowledge of video editing from, and I clicked Premiere Pro, imagining it would at least be somewhat similar. And it was not. None of the buttons did what I thought they would do. The formatting was weird, all the windows were weird. I didn't like it at all. And I remember sitting there looking at my laptop thinking, well, this is free. I already have it installed. I can either just learn how to use this right now, or maybe infect my PC with my MacBook with viruses while I try to pirate this software. And I remember sitting with myself thinking, this is like, why would I settle for what is obviously a less advanced video editing software, at least on the visual, like the UI aspect? Why would I settle for something worse than what I'm already used to if I could just put in that little bit extra effort to maintain what I already have and also not pay $60 a month? And it was in that moment I realized, I'm like, it's infinitely more useful to just learn how to pirate Adobe products than it is to try and learn anything else. Same with Canva. Canva, I could use it for free, but there's no like, you can't like clip out a certain part of a PNG, like remove the background off something. You can't do that unless you pay for their subscription. And I figured like that's just like I could make something work, but it's not what I would want to have. It's not the most efficient way of doing this, and it's also not what I'm used to. I'm literally taking tools out of my toolbox, and I don't want to do that. So I'm going to learn how to pirate this software so I can still do what I want to do and not pay $60 a month. Now, I don't know if anyone has any moral objections to pirating, but I want to preface this by saying I'm pretty sure Adobe products are like the one thing everyone has mutually agreed on that you not only is okay to pirate, but you should be doing that. Um, which I will admit, for I've been paying for Adobe for like literally over a year, so that's like more than $400 that I just don't have now because I was spending it on video editing software. Now I'm going to transition this point of never settling for something lesser than what you already have. I'm going to seamlessly transition this into relationship advice. Now my friend has been talking to me about how he imagines that this one girl is the one. And I've been trying for a while to tell him like, bro, you need to move on. You're like 20 years old. You have so much ahead of you. There's so many more opportunities, so many more girls to meet. And he was telling me that he was dead set. He is dead set on this one girl. And it made me think, hold on. This is exactly kind of similar. Hold on. This is similar to my fiasco the night before, in which I was trying to utilize DaVinci and utilize Canva, and I decided no, I'm going to go through extra effort in order to be able to keep using Adobe products. And I told him, I said, you know what, man? If this is what you want, I'm not going to tell you you shouldn't do it. At the end of the day, you should not settle for anything less than what you think you deserve. And I think I deserve Adobe products. So I worked a little bit more effort into getting Adobe products. And I told him he should just, if that's what he wants and that's what he views his life going towards, that he should put all of his effort into making that relationship work. The moral, again, guys, is that you should not settle for less. If you have something that's working and there are blockades in your path that are limiting your access to said, maybe it's a reward, maybe it's a girl, maybe it's video editing software, whatever it is, if there's something in between you and whatever you want, and you don't see a path in life without that, why would you settle for less? There's always going to be a way to where you need to be. There's always a path. Sometimes it is the most direct path. Sometimes it's a little bit off the beaten path. Sometimes you have to forge your own path. Either way, no matter which way it is, there is a way. There is a path between you and whatever you desire. And it is only up to you on if you want to take whichever path that is. Thank you.